I'm Liz Morgan, and I'm here at Lethbridge College, and we're going to learn how to make a recipe found at our Wider Horizons magazine. I'm here with Chef Stephen Klassen, and he's a chef here at our award-winning culinary program at the college. Hi Stephen, how are you doing today?
Hi Liz, and welcome here. Today we are going to do a Sacher Torte for our baking lesson today.
So that sounds awesome. Let's get started. What do we do first?
So, well, get started. The first thing that we have to do is we have to scale all of our ingredients. That is the most important step. So what that involves is measuring out all of your ingredients. So what I have here is I have 120 grams of butter, 120 grams of sugar, egg yolks, and chocolate.
So what's the next step after we've weighed out all of our ingredients?
We're going to start mixing.
Okay.
So what we'll do is if you want to do this,
okay.
That's fine.
I'm going to get my hands in
That's
here. Okay.
Fine. Butter and your sugar.
Okay, so just
into
put it
the
in.
mixer.
And sugar?
And the sugar. Okay, and we're just going to turn the machine on, and we're just going to let this mix.
Okay. So we have our oven on, we have our parchment paper. What do we do after this?
So now that our butter is nice and light and fluffy, we're going to add our next ingredients.
Okay.
So if you'd like to, we can add our vanilla extract.
Hello. Great.
Okay, next thing, we're just going to shut this off,
okay.
and you're going to add our egg yolks.
Okay.
And you can scrape it in.
Sure.
So I want to make sure we get as much as we can. Okay, so we'll turn it back on for a second.
Okay.
And we're just going to let that mix until the eggs are combined, and then we'll shut it off and we're going to scrape it. We are going to add our melted chocolate. I melted the chocolate on a double boiler or a bain-marie.
Okay.
We want to always melt chocolate on indirect heat. So if this is a double boiler, it's melting by steam.
Okay.
We never want to melt it on direct heat because the chocolate will burn.
Okay.
If you don't have a double boiler or you don't want to make your own bain-marie, melt it in the microwave 20 seconds at a time, stir, and then just keep going until it's melted.
Okay.
So we're just going to mix it until it's just combined.
Yeah.
Because now we don't want to start over mixing.
Okay.
And now that we can see that it's nicely combined, we're going to shut it off, and we're going to have to get ready for our next step.
Sounds good. So after the batter has been mixed, what do we do after that?
Next step is we have to make a quick meringue.
Okay.
So what we have to do is we have egg whites that we have to add to our bowl.
Should I add that now?
Yeah, add that now. So what we can do is slowly add our sugar.
Okay. Just a little bit at a time?
Yeah, a little faster than that.
Okay. There we go.
So now we're just going to turn the speed up a little bit.
Okay.
And we're just going to let those egg whites stiffen up a little bit.
Okay.
The more volume they have, the bigger your cake is going to rise.
Okay.
Now I can see that our egg whites are done. So what I'm going to do is just going to shut it off, and I'm just going to double check and make sure that they're good. So we take the machine apart.
Yeah.
And you can see by pulling the whisk out that those egg whites aren't moving anywhere.
Those are some pretty nice peaks there.
So what we can do now, we're ready for our third and final step here.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is it's something called folding now. Okay. And we're going to add everything in stages so it's mixed up properly.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do
is
I'm going to put in a few of these egg whites so we can see that they're nice, light and airy.
Okay.
So you're going to fold those in. So what folding means is not really stirring it, because if we stir those egg whites really hard, it's going to fall and we're not going to have a nice light cake.
Okay.
So we're just going to mix.
Okay.
Right? And I'm just still incorporating that air so it's nice and light, and always just scraping.
So we keep folding this until it's kind of like a light brown color?
Yeah, and you just want to fold it until it's incorporated.
Okay.
So you can see that there's barely any egg white showing right now. So the next step is we're going to add about half of our flour. Okay. Now the recipe called for sifted flour. So we want sifted, so it's just going to incorporate the air, and it's just ensuring that there's no bits of paper or debris in your flour. So now that we added our flour, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to incorporate it until there's no more flour. So next thing, just some more egg whites.
Okay.
We're going to save, the last ingredient will be those egg whites. Okay. So we're going to save a little bit.
Okay.
So we do it in about thirds.
Okay, so we're gonna fold it again.
Yep.
And this ensures that it stays, I guess, fluffy and light?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So now that it's nicely incorporated, we're going to pour it into our spring form pan. And you can see it's a thicker batter.
Yeah.
It's not runny whatsoever, and that's okay. So don't be worried that it's looking dry.
Okay.
So once you have it in there, you want to make sure we just smooth it out nicely.
Okay.
And that there's no excess on the side, so we can wipe that down after before we put it in the oven.
Okay.
By smoothing it off, it's just going to have a nice even layer.
Yeah.
And it won't be out of shape.
It's looking good.
So now that it's ready to go,
okay,
it's going to go into our oven.
So our cake is in the oven and it's baking. What can we do in the meantime?
While our cake is baking, we're going to make our ganache. That's the icing for the Sacher Torte.
Okay.
So what we need, it's very simple. It's 2 ingredients. It's heavy cream, which is whipping cream that you can buy at the store, and just dark chocolate. So now that our cream is nice and hot, and it's allowed just to come just about to a boil, then we're going to shut off your heat. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the chocolate, and these are just chocolate. You can shave the chocolate, or you can buy these chocolate chips like this. Okay. You just want it to melt well. Just don't huck in a whole chunk of chocolate. It won't melt.
Do I want to be stirring these?
Yeah, so now that it's added, you can go ahead and you can stir it.
Okay. Just in a circular motion, there's
no
like
figure 8 if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
So you can see that it's incorporating a little easier. It's turning into a nice chocolate sauce. We just want to make sure that it's not burning and we want to ensure that all the chocolate has melted. Okay. So if you want, I'll just take over the spatula for a second, and I'm just going to give it one good scrape. Okay. And it's almost done, so I just want to make sure that all the chocolate has nicely melted. Okay. And all we're going to do is just set it off to the side. Okay. That way it can cool down nicely. And we'll just put it there for now, and we're just going to forget about it.
Sounds good.
Now that our cake has cooled, right? We have it out of our spring form pan. What we have to do, this cake is split into 2 even layers. So what you want to do is have a slicer, and we're just going to insert the knife right halfway in between the cake so they're even layers. And we just go around in a circular motion, and we make sure that it's cut all the way through. So once it's cut all the way through, what we do is we just take this top half that doesn't look so nice, and we're just gonna put it just like this. Okay. Sounds good. So you take your apricot jam, and what we're going to do is we're just gonna put all of our apricot jam on. Okay. And we just want to smooth it out so it's an even layer. Every bit of cake has the jam. So the jam acts as a few things actually. It's going to provide a little bit more moisture, so it's not so dry. It's going to provide flavor, and it's going to act as somewhat of a sealer. Okay. So now that it's spread out all from edge to edge, we're going to take our last layer, and I like to use the bottom because when you put it on the cake, minus the crumbs, you want to make sure it's lined up. And we just pull that piece of parchment paper off that was on the bottom. And we have a nice smooth layer. So what I'd like you to do is grab a nice ladle full of our ganache. That's nice room temperature. And you're going to pour it right in the middle. Like so. And I'm going to start spreading it out. You can get another ladle full. And all I'm going to do is just move my spatula back and forth just to cover it nicely. So you can keep pouring on. It's okay. So you can see that it starts to flow down the sides. So what I'm going to do after, once the top is covered nicely, I'm just going to work my way around the cake. And we just take our spatula and we just keep smoothing it out. This is going to take a couple of times. Because what we need is for this chocolate one more time to set up in the fridge. And then we can finish garnishing it and covering the sides up if you'd like. This is our finished product. So it came out of the fridge. I just put some chocolate shavings around the outside and just some chocolate dipped apricots. And we wrote in the word Sacher. So as per tradition. So now what we're going to do is we're going to serve it. Austrians love taking their time, so they would eat a piece of cake, usually with some whipped cream and always a cup of coffee. And they would take their time. So, and a nice hot, wet knife. That's just going to give you a nice, clean cut. How big a piece?
Really big, like probably the half of the cake.
Half the cake.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we're through. Take our pie lifter. So when we put it on the plate, you see 2 nice layers of cake.
Yeah.
Your nice jam filling. And that is it.
It's looking good.
So I'll let you dig into that while I move
Thank
this
you.
over. And you let me know how it is.
Okay. It's delicious.
Oh, wonderful. Good. So that is Sacher Torte. So hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
So thanks a lot, Stephen, for walking us through this. It was great. And thank you for watching. If you want to look at more videos, you can go to widerhorizons.ca.